6 p.m. in Kupe Manunguba Division, the southwest region of Cameroon. Same time right here in Akwa Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. A GC examiner who doubles as principal of Comprehensive High School Mamfe in the southwest region dies in a hotel room in Boya. Eno David Taku was in Boya to mark scripts for the 2025 session of the General Certificate of Education examination. Circumstances that led to his death will be revealed in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Away from that, 14 candidatures have been received so far by Elections Organizing Body Elections Cameroon as we draw closer to the deadline of submission of candidacies for the forthcoming presidential elections. Still in politics, CPDM officials, including Minister Gregoire Wona of Labour and Social Security and Minister Delegate Jean de Dieu Momo, have launched scathing attacks on Professor Maurice Kamto's candidacy after his investiture by the Manidem party. The attempts to discredit Kamto on technical grounds have sparked suspicions of a coordinated effort to undermine the opposition leader's popularity. Those are top stories tonight. The news in full in a jiffy. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. Tragedy has struck in Boya as Eno David Taku, a GC examiner and principal of a comprehensive high school in Mamfe, was found dead in his hotel room. According to reports, Taku checked into the hotel on the 4th of July and succumbed to a cardiac arrest as diagnosed by doctors who were on the scene. At the time of his death, Taku was in Boya to oversee the marking of the 2025 GC exams. Rex Afon visited the hotel where the incident occurred and has more details on the circumstances surrounding Taku's passing away.
Taku, a GC examiner for history, who has been lodging in this hotel since the 4th of July, stepped into his hotel room on Wednesday evening to rest for the night and ended up doing so eternally.
He has been here since the 4th, that's the 4th of July. He has been here for all this while, marking a GCE. So he came here last night to lodge after the GCE, but he seemed very, very strong. He seemed fine. Early this morning, his colleague called me around 8:55. His colleague called me and told me that they are at the center and they are marking a GCE. Say he's nowhere to be found. So I should go and check his room. I should knock his room and ask what is happening. So I sent the receptionist to go to his room, and the receptionist knocked the door, but no one was opening the door. So we had to use a spare key to open up his room. When we opened the room, and we got to see him lifeless on his bed.
Early diagnoses point to the fact that he suffered a cardiac arrest.
I had to go to the judiciary police and report the incident. They came down here, they came with their medical staff, and they came and examined his body, and they realized that he died because of a cardiac arrest. Yeah, so that was what made him the way he was. That's how he died. It is not the hotel's fault. Yeah, because we try as much as possible to get enough information and details from our clients. Because if he explained to us after we asked if he has any health issues or the rest, because we normally ask these questions, then we have made all things possible to be checking his room from time to time to see if it's okay, to see if it's fine.
He was also a principal of a comprehensive high school in Mamfe who had come to mark the 2025 session of the GCE. His mortal remains has been taken to Mamfe, where burial rites will be performed in the days ahead.
Away from that, several families from Mutengene, Mile 16 and Likumba have stormed the premises of the Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure, protesting against the destruction of their crops and the seizure of their lands. They are pointing accusing fingers at certain individuals while calling on competent authorities to address their situation. Ese Lucilengu has more.
Over 500 families from Likumba, Mutengene and Mile 16, the southwest region, denounced the sale of their farms and destruction of their crops by certain individuals.
They don't bring bulldozers. They bulldoze all we crops that we don't plant inside that bush. That bush we don't be there more than 50 years.
We are here, farmers from Boya, farmers from Likumba, and from Mile 16. We have come all the way from Boya to plead with the Cameroon government to try and look into the situation.
After several complaints to local officials in the southwest region, they decided to travel to Yaoundé to protest at the Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure, urging those involved in the sale of their lands to stop so that peace can be restored.
We get now one thing we cry for government. Say if they don't take the land for we, if they pay, we crop, we don't plant that for the number of years. We'll not get a problem. We need to find land.
The family say they have invested a lot in their farms, which consist of 2,000 hectares of cocoa, palm trees and fruit trees.
We don't get any place to go, no other place.
They feel frustrated because many of them rely on agriculture to make a living and educate their children. With less than 2 months to the start of the new academic year, they wonder how their children will resume if the situation continues. However, during a meeting with the minister's representative at the ministry, the farmers shared their concerns. The Secretary General, according to them, promised to work with the governor of the southwest region to stop any further destruction and land sales. They also plan to take steps to ensure peace within these villages.
And now we talk politics. Anicet Ekane explains the reasons for which his party is backing the candidacy of Professor Maurice Kamto. Speaking on Equinoxe Radio, he highlighted a number of points, including the high mobilization capacity of Professor Maurice Kamto and the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, as Babila Jonathan tells us.
Et cette démarche, elle est en droit digne de la politique de la main tendue patriotique de l'UPC.
Opposition political leader Anicet Ekane says the decision of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, MANIDEM, to present the candidacy of Professor Maurice Kamto is a fundamental policy option of the UPC, the birthright of the party.
Que celle-ci a toujours pratiqué depuis sa naissance en 1948. Il y a 6 mois là où on a relancé encore cette activité.
It took several months to arrive at the decision.
Nous avons abouti aujourd'hui à cette candidature.
According to Anicet Ekane and his comrades, the candidacy of Professor Maurice Kamto is one that should federate all the voices of the opposition through its high capacity of mobilization. A mobilization capacity which, he adds, should culminate in defeating the Biya regime, taking power and redressing the nation.
And we stay in politics. The endorsement of Professor Maurice Kamto by the MANIDEM party has been described as a sigh of relief for many Cameroonians. Many political analysts say the MANIDEM party president Anicet Ekane deserves a pat on the back, as Annabella tells us.
The political collaboration between the MANIDEM party with Anicet Ekane as president and Professor Maurice Kamto is a fast move applauded by opinion leaders and other Cameroonians.
It's a welcome gesture. It's a move that Cameroonians long awaited for. It's a move that should be applauded.
Following several hurdles Professor Maurice Kamto encountered at the CRM party concerning his candidacy, Emmanuel Nteum, an analyst, says the MANIDEM political party is now a beacon of hope to get a positive change Cameroonians have been asking for several decades now.
But what we want here is we are going for a unified front, unified opposition that can be able to punch out the person that has ruled Cameroon for 43 years.
Forming a strong bloc with tough-minded and strategic political figures might just do the magic come October 12.
Every politician will rally their little support behind those who matter, like Batonia Akeremona, Professor Maurice Kamto.
Following this unpredicted alliance between Anicet Ekane and Professor Kamto, the MANIDEM president has been qualified as a visionary who all these years might have been mapping out strategies for a common good of the nation, though his move hasn't been without backlash from some group of persons.
If you cannot unite together to fight the enemy, we shall all perish together as fools.
Professor Maurice Kamto is a presidential candidate endorsed by the MANIDEM political party for the October 12 presidential election in Cameroon.
And we stay in politics as Anicet Ekane, president of the MANIDEM party, has been in the spotlight recently, sparking curiosity about his political background. Our reporter Mala Glory dug deeper to uncover the story behind Ekane's rise to prominence. Her report.
Anise Ekane of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy Manidem was born in Douala on the 17th of April 1951. Following his primary and secondary education in Cameroon, young George Anise Ekane, as he is called, flew to France where he obtained his degree in economics at the University of Lille 1 and Lille School of Business Administration. Ekane, a historic figure in the Cameroonian opposition, took interest in politics at an early age. He joined the Union of the People of Cameroon in 1973. In late 1989, he led a group of patriotic Democrats alongside Mr. Yondo Black, another historic political figure. According to sources, the activity of the 74-year-old man within this political group cost him an arrest alongside its members on February 19, 1990. They were tried by the Yaoundé Military Court and sentenced in April 1990. The court's judgment sentenced him to 4 years in prison, a fine of 20 million, and the obligation to pay the cost of the entire trial. He was also stripped of all his civil rights thanks to the presidential clemency that decided on August 14, 1990, he regained his freedom. His stay in prison, torture and hard labor only increased his courage. On March 3, 1991, he founded Manidem with other UPC members. December 1991, he was elected National Coordination Secretary and spokesperson for UPC Manidem. In 1995, Manidem became legal.
En tant que jeune, j'ai adhéré au Manidem parce que le Cameroun a besoin d'une nouvelle indépendance.
Anise Ekane was nominated by his party for the presidential elections of October 2004 and October 2011. And in 2025, he makes a strong decision. Thanks to his 50 years of political experience, he decided to give a chance to Professor Maurice Kamto of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM, by endorsing him presidential candidate under the banner of Manidem Party.
Malaglary reporting there. CPDM bigwigs, Minister Grégoire Wona and Minister Delegate Jean-de-Dieu Momo are going hard on Professor Maurice Kamto's candidacy after his Manidem investiture. Their scathing attacks and technical criticisms have many wondering if it is a coordinated smear campaign to frustrate the opposition leader. Fomi Armstrong Sender has the details.
Kamto Ekane, their only points of convergence is violence, money, total divergence of ideology, unnatural alliance, association of X. When the little illiterate of law that we are said that the CRM is not qualified to present a candidate, we were retorted that the Pope of Law knows everything, and he hammered home that he will be presented by the CRM. Where are we today? Attention, it is not over. Wait and see. The unconventional sarcasm is that of a CPDM party heavyweight, Grégoire Wona, Cameroon's Minister of Labour and Social Security, who poured scathing comment after the investment of Maurice Kamto's candidacy by the Manidem political party of Anise Ekane. The outing and choice of words have raised serious concerns about the resolve of some Yaoundé regime officials regarding Maurice Kamto's participation in the 2025 presidential election in Cameroon. Minister Grégoire Wona further ended with an unkind remark promising that this is not over. In a similar outing, his colleague Jean-de-Dieu Momo, Minister Delegate in the Ministry of Justice, promised that Maurice Kamto's candidacy would be rejected by the Constitutional Council. Fozak Tongpong I, as he is known on Facebook, claims that the legalization of Maurice Kamto's candidacy declaration by a police official invalidates it, even though without citing a constitutional provision. He further claims that Maurice Kamto's failure to resign from the CRM party invalidates his candidacy under Article 3, Paragraph 2 of Law Number 90/056 of December 19, 1990. While the ministers advance their argument, internet users see their criticism as marred by confrontational tones, personal attacks, and potential biases. In the comments section, Readers question the objectivity of this argument, suspecting that all is motivated by a desire to deceive public opinion rather than provide a genuine critique.
In a symbolic gesture rooted in the party's history, Joshua Osei, chairman and flag bearer of the Social Democratic Front SDF party, filed his candidacy for the presidential elections in Bamenda, the capital of Cameroon's conflict with the Northwest region, on July 17th. This act echoes the party's tradition dating back to 1992. As Cameroon's political landscape evolves, Osei's bid raises questions about the party's future and its potential to signal a new era. Our Northwest chief correspondent, Bostella, has details from that part of Cameroon.
Since 1992, the Social Democratic Front Party has deposited its flag bearers' files in Bamenda. On Thursday, July 17, 2025, Joshua Osei, the party's chairman and presidential aspirant, maintained the tradition. Once the dominant opposition force under the late Nijan Frundi, the SDF has seen years of political decline, internal fractures, and a shrinking voter base.
First, the founding fathers of this party, the majority of them were from Bamenda. And when the party was launched in 1990, the first chairman came from Bamenda. And that charity begins at home.
He's from the foot of the SDF. He's following the foot of the late national chairman, His Excellency Nijan Frundi. We are coming in with a government of transparency.
The symbolism behind Chairman II coming here in Bamenda to deposit his candidacy is to signify to the world that Bamenda still remains one of the bases of the Social Democratic Front. Nothing is lost.
This year's race is shaping up as a generational battle. Osei, 56 years old, speaks of reforms and youth inclusion, while President Paul Biya, 92, seeks a record 8th term.
To do political justice to the Anglophone community here at home and abroad, I think it is the time for an Anglophone to be the president. We cannot have it that for 60 years, two Francophones have led us to the drain.
As October 12 approaches, the question remains, is this the beginning of a political rebirth for the SDF or a nostalgic walk down memory lane? Only time will tell.
Northwest Chief Correspondent Bostella reporting there. And in other news, some elites and villagers are contesting the enthronement of Kavaige Jibril as first-class chief of Mada. The ceremony took place at the banquet hall of the National Assembly in the presence of Paul Athanganji. Anabila reports.
At the banquet hall of the National Assembly, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Athanganji, presides over the enthronement of Kavaige Jibril, President of the National Assembly, as first-class traditional ruler of Mada. This enthronement has been widely criticized and contested by villagers and elites of Mada, a village in the northern regions of Cameroon. The locals say such an act is unjustified and can have severe consequences in the present, just like in the future. The fact that Kavaige Jibril was installed at the banquet hall of the National Assembly poses a serious problem and is a violation of traditional values.
Qui n'est pas normal, c'est le fait que ça soit tenu à l'Assemblée nationale dans la salle de banquet.
Analysts say the traditional ruler must, before everything, reside in his area of command, where the enthronement must take place.
C'est dans le territoire de sa circonscription. Déjà même qu'on exige qu'il doit résider dans sa circonscription.
Other opinions have it that traditional rulers have been transformed into beggars with stipends offered them at the end of the month called salary. This, according to them, devalues the essence of local chiefs in our Cameroonian communities.
Un texte de 2014 qui vient fixer les rémunérations, on a 100 000, 50 000. C'est ridicule.
In Mada, where the enthronement is widely contested, the elite wants an inclusive dialogue to be opened with the entire village involved.
And that's it for this first part of the news. Cameroon Today comes up next. On tonight's edition of Cameroon Today, we are shining a spotlight on Sule de Roi, a locality in the Fana region's Mayutanaga division. After gaining notoriety in late March 2025 due to the assassination of 2 researchers and their guide, residents now feel abandoned by the government. With Boko Haram threats looming, harsh climatic conditions and bad roads, they are crying out for the government to intervene and address their numerous challenges. Smart Jikan Gabriel takes us to Sule Derua in his report.
Getting to Sule Derua is not an easy one because of the poor road network in the subdivision that is located some 30 kilometers away from Mokolo, headquarters of Mayuchanaga. The nation got to know of Sule Derua after the assassination of 2 researchers and their guide in Balde last March 2nd, 2025. As a result, local authorities arrested the chief of the village and more than 20 inhabitants who are now behind bars in Mokolo. Today, some section of the village is deserted, notably men who have abandoned their wives and children because of fear of being arrested. We are surprised about what happened. We regret all that occurred here because it's taking us backwards in everything. It got us into problem, even though life is gradually getting to normalcy. We are calling on those who ran away to come back. The major challenge of the subdivision is that of electricity. During the dry season, the situation is better, but in the rainy season, things get worse. We have a problem of poles. Though we have power supply here since, when it's raining, the poles fall off because of strong breeze. It's already about 1 month we are in darkness. The mayor of the locality says the difficulties are many because the locality shares border with many other subdivisions, amongst them Nkoza, where Boko Haram, though with weakened force, usually attack the area. Found in total darkness, Sule Derua is now a harvesting ground for the men of the underworld. The biggest problem here is that we have many termites, and with wooden poles, when a strong breeze passes, they all fall. Majority of our villages here are not electrified, particularly those at the borders, which are exposed to insecurity. I once told the Minister of Water and Energy, who promised doing something. Until date, we are waiting. Potable water is another serious problem for the inhabitants of Sule Derua. Though a lot of efforts have been done in recent times by the government, it has not quenched the thirst of the inhabitants of Sule Derua. Since a year now, we have water from the distribution company, but unfortunately, the pipes used to drag the water get burst easily. They can't be used for up to 6 months. The people say the company used poor materials. We are now pressing that these pipes should be changed. With a harsh climate, Sule Derua is still to have a good environment for farming reasons, while breathing is the main source of revenue and where problems have always resurrected, something the divisional officer is struggling to calm down. The population is a peaceful one. Reasons why what happened has been forgotten. We have some issues with people of Nkoza and Mayo Moskota. The soil is very poor. Reasons why the people here suffer a lot with the climate and limited lands. We usually have issues with land conflicts too. Political battle between elites adds up to the already existing problems of the subdivision. Another issue is that of the headquarters of the subdivision, which is dividing the people of Sule Derua. They believe the headquarters was supposed to be in Rua, but Sulede forcefully took it. Another preoccupation is the situation of the divisional officer who has been in control for the past 4 years. The chef there doesn't have a vehicle nor a resident. Construction work of his office has stopped. For years now, the divisional officer simply lives on the little he has to administer his people while waiting for a solution from his super boss, the Minister of Territorial Administration.
And that's what we gathered for tonight's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on ETV. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye for now.